Jai Gurudev. I truly hope and believe that all of you have gone through the last two installments on Concise Bhagwad Gita. Let us understand more on the teachings to elevate our own lives. Don't you think if we have to resolve a problem, we need to understand all about that problem, because when we know all the stated facts about the problem and how it occurred, and we go through the series of actions involved, we realize that the answer is hidden in the depths of the problem itself. Now, if we as humans are in dire state of conflicts both within and in our environment, which is our own reflection, are we not supposed to take a keener look at understanding everything about our own self and the environment? What better beginning can we have than first understanding the entire structure of ours and the universe from the Lord's mouth Himself? There are various interpretations provided about the structure by various philosophers, thinkers, and interpreters. However, I am adhering to what is prescribed directly in Bhagavatam. Before we understand the structure, I would like to comment on the fact that we have been knowing whatever about the universe, it is through various scientific research so far carried out for the last 500 years, as we have never known that the structure was already stated by the Lord Himself in the holy text of Bhagavatam. Einstein once commented that the more I understand universe through science, the more I start believing in the existence of God. Let us quickly see scientific developments so that we know that how they are reaching the same observations which are already specified in the Bhagwad Gita. Classical physics began in Europe with Galileo and Newton. They believed in three basic premises about the universe. There is matter, which always follows the same laws. There is absolute space, which is static and independent of matter and time. There is universal time, which is same in all reference frames and is independent of matter and space. Then there was a Newton's law of gravitation. Apart from mechanics, we had some people like Snell and Huygens developing optics, the science of light. We also had people like Coulomb and Gauss developing the theory of electricity, and Gilbert trying to pioneer magnetism. In a nutshell, universe in the view of classical physics contained certain entities like mass, charge, space, time, energy, waves, magnets, and light. These interacted with each other in accordance with certain laws. These laws were separate watertight entities and had no bearing on each other. Einstein completely changed our notion about the universe with his theory of relativity. Relativity completely shattered the basic assumptions of classical physics. The space and the time, which were independent entities in Newton's model of the universe, were now woven into a single entity, the space-time fabric. According to Einstein, not only are the space and time interdependent, but also the single space-time fabric is affected by mass, that is matter present in it. Just as Maxwell had woven charges, magnets, and light together, so did Einstein weave mass, space, time, and energy into a single theory. Heisenberg in 1900 proposed the uncertainty principle, which implies that it is impossible to simultaneously measure the present position while also determining the future motion of a particle. This principle completely shattered the notion of fixed laws of classical physics that were supposed to be valid in all inertial reference frames. Rather than fixed laws predicting a fixed outcome, we now had probabilities of the outcomes. By Einstein's time, physicists believed that there are four fundamental independent forces in nature: gravitation, electromagnetism, weak interaction and strong interaction. All these shocks to the classical conception of a diverse universe have forced the scientists to speculate the existence of a single theory, the theory of everything. A theory that would explain not only the phenomena associated with a black hole, but also those associated with electrons and protons. A theory that would explain not only the certainties of relativity, but also the uncertainties of quantum mechanics. Today, this is a major research area in theoretical physics. One such important theory in its nascent stages of development that aims to explain everything is the string theory, which views everything in the universe as composed of tiny strings of energy which give rise to all the phenomena that we observe. We can conclude that the journey of physics has been that of unification and shattering of the old norms. Our understanding of the universe seems to be converging to one law that would explain all the diverse phenomena. Here comes the importance of Bhagwad Gita, which explains the universe as a one single thread. Lord Mahavishnu, who is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna, while lying on the sum total energy of the cosmic manifestation known as the Mahatattva, creates innumerable material universes which are spread across the material sky. By his creative glance, Mahavishnu impregnates the fallen conditioned souls in the material universes who want to separately enjoy their minute independence and free will away from the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. Lord Mahavishnu, in his creative Yoga Nidra, sleep on the causal ocean during his breathing inhalations annihilates many multiple universes, and during his breathing exhalations creates many material universes or multiverses which emanate from his bodily pores, which are spread across the material sky. The Yoga Nidra sleep of Mahavishnu is responsible for the strong gravitational force which exists in dark matter and in the black holes that exist in the material universes. Thus, Mahavishnu is responsible for the primary creation, maintenance, destruction, and control of the material universes in the material sky. The gigantic universal form of the Lord Mahavishnu came out of the causal ocean and placed his appearance as the first Purusha avatar and entered into each of the separate universes as Garbhodakshi Vishnu, desiring to lie on the created transcendental waters of Garbhodak ocean, after which Lord Brahma was created on the lotus stem protruding from his navel. Lord Vishnu then instructed his son Lord Brahma for creation in his material universe. This is prescribed in Bhagwad Puran in the verse 2.10.10. The individual material universes are made up of 8 coverings of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intellect, and false ego. The material bodies of the living entities in Lord Brahma's material universe are also made up of these 8 elements, which is part of the inferior material energy of the Supreme Lord. The black hole existing within each material universe is actually the navel of Garbhodakshi Vishnu, from where our universe came into being and will ultimately end at the end of lifetime of Brahma. Lord Brahma, the creator, populated the Milky Way universe in the 14 planetary systems with various life forms in different space and dimension based on the 3 nodes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, which we also know as Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. The multiple headed Brahmas of various multiverses create different types of life forms, and each multiverse has its own duration or time span. However, all the living beings, including Lord Brahma, are conditioned spirit souls in these various material universes and are subjected to repeated birth and death as per their karma and desire, till they surrender unto the Supreme Lord in devotion by the process of self realization to be eligible to attain the spiritual world. Our Brahman or universe is called the Milky Way universe or galaxy, which contains innumerable suns, stars, planets, and other space objects, including the black hole present in the middle of our Milky Way universe, in which strong gravitational force of Garbhodakshi Vishnu is exerted over the waters of Garbhodak Sagar, on which lies Garbhodakshi Vishnu, who is responsible for the creation and annihilation of our individual universe. The time span or lifespan of our material universe or Brahmand is known as Vikalpa, which is already mentioned in the Vedic Aryan texts such as the Vedas and Purans. As per Western creationism theory, Big Bang explosion occurred some 14 billion years ago, which started the formation of galaxies, stars, and space matter in the existing universe. However, the Western theory of creation is unable to explain what triggered Big Bang explosion and what existed in the universe before the occurrence of Big Bang explosion. As per Vedic cosmology, some 14 billion years ago, the creation cycle of previous Brahmakalpa day ended, which was followed by the Brahmakalpa night of annihilation. During Brahmakalpa night of 4,032,000,000 earthly years that began 14 billion years ago, no life forms existed after the end of previous cyclical day of Brahma. Just as in a year there are 12 months and each month has 30 days in it, so also Lord Brahma in his year has 12 months and each month has 30 days in it. Srimad Bhagwatam Puran mentions the cyclical names of Lord Brahma's 30 days or kalpas, which systematically occur every month. At present, Lord Brahma is living in his 51st years, first month's second Shwet Varaha Kalpa day, which occurred after the first Brahma Kalpa day. Talking about cosmic manifestation, we need to incorporate both spiritual and material existence. The spiritual realm of the planet is everlasting, and this will forever be beyond what material universe can encapsulate. The spiritual realm belongs to the superdimensional or anti-material dimension. It means that it is beyond what we can perceive, beyond the time as a linear dimension, and beyond the space of our vision and perception. There are innumerable planets, all indestructible and forever lasting. That is what the Vedas say about the spiritual planets. Our concentration here is more towards the material side of things. At some point in time, the material planetary systems are created, and at another point in time, they will be destroyed. Time and space influence the material planetary system. Both of them have the same source of energy, the Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual light. The material energy, the Mahatattva, covers 1/4 of the Brahma Jyoti. The remaining is the eternal spiritual realm. Even inside the spiritual world, there are two realms, Goloka Dhamma and Hari Dhamma. The material world has only one realm known as the Devi Dhamma. According to Bhagwad Gita, the material planets of our universe are divided into three parts, namely, they are Urdhva Lok, highest, Madhya Lok, middle, and Adho Lok, lower. Above the highest Loka, the eternal realms lie. The Goloka Dhamma is the topmost planet and is where the Supreme Godhead, Sri Radha Krishna, resides. Below that, Hari Dhamma resides, where the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha Lokas are situated. Vaikuntha is the unmanifested Parashakti spiritual world where there are innumerable planets of various Vishnu incarnations like Lord Rama, Lord Narsimha, Lord Vasudeva, etc., in which the devotees of those incarnations attain eternal association and serve the Supreme Lord after gaining liberation from the material world. The Jivatma, after attaining self-effulgent Vaikuntha Loka planets, is never subjected to repeated cycles of birth and death. After attaining Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, the minute living entity soul, the Jivatma, achieves deathlessness or liberation and is not being subjected to the innumerable manifested Apara Shakti, material universes wherein repeated annihilations and creation occurs by the inhalations and exhalations of Lord Mahavishnu. And below that lies the Mahesh Dhama or Shiva Loka, also known as Sadashiv Loka or the abode of Lord Shiva, where Vaikuntha planets lie. This is how the spiritual forms are separated from the material forms. Yoga is a way to get into these worlds. With Bhakti Yoga, one can enter the Hari Dhama or Goloka Dhama. With Gyan Yoga, one can enter the Mahesh Dhama or the Shiva Loka. And with Karma Yoga, one can remain in the Devi Dhama. If the Urdhav Lok, in the Urdhav Lok, there are no diseases or signs of aging of the body, and fear is an unknown sense in the realm. As we move downward, the life duration decreases and there is greater manifestation of disease and anxiety. The 14 planetary systems are Satyalok, Tapalok, Gyanlok, Maharlok, Swarlok, Bhuvarlok, Bhurlok, Atallok, Vitallok, Sutallok, Talatallok, Mahatallok, Rasatallok, and Patalloka. Above the sky is the orbiting sun, which is the entrance point of the heavenly planetary systems. This is the middle of the universe where begins the planets of those elevated by great austerities and penances. The planets above these up to Satyalok are the residences of those advanced in spiritual knowledge. All these planets are within the material world and under the control of Devi goddess Durga and therefore called as Devi Dhama or Devi Loka. Vedic scripture Hari Vamsa reads this. We might not conceive the residence of heavenly planets as they are known to be deathless, Amar. According to Bhagwad Gita, one day in the heavenly world is equal to 430 crores solar years. Thus, the sense of time is different in different planets and planetary systems. Moreover, the living beings are also different, including the vegetation. In other planets, Jupiter, Venus, and the Moon, one day is equal to 6 months on Earth. These are visible to us and are considered to be heavenly planets. At the higher planetary systems, one can find the realms of devas, demigods, and angels. For ghostly spirits, there is the Bhuvarlok, and for the Nagas, they are the lower planets populated by those of the demonic consciousness. As we go up, we find the development of higher consciousness, which includes the advanced intellectuality starting from human beings and going beyond it. Let us understand about Bhumandala, that is the Middle Earth. Srimad Bhagwat Puran vividly describes how earthly planet was formed some 6 billion years ago in the solar system to support life, because no life form can survive without the presence of 5 elements according to Sankhya philosophy. The earthly planet was assisted by the 5 principal gods to support living organisms under the supervision of 3 principal gods, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. The 3 principal gods are known as the Panch Mahabhutas, and they are ether or Akash, which is the first element when there was only space. Due to its relationship with sun's heat and rays, Agni or sound element fire was created, resulting into the formation of red hot molten fireball, which was cooled down by wind, Vayu, the third element. The association of ether, fire, and wind resulted in the formation of rain clouds, Varun, and water. The fourth element was created, and then Mother Earth was inundated with massive amount of rainfall continuously for a period of 1 billion years. Each of these elements took a total of 3 billion years to complete the process. In the last phase, Bhumi or Earth as the fifth element appeared or surfaced as a supercontinent, which scientists call as Pangaea and the Purans indicate as Lakshadweep. The, Let us now look at the lower planetary systems in Hindu cosmology. 7 other systems lie below the earth, that is Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal. They are about the same size as the earth and lie below 5,60,000 miles below the earth. Sunlight has zero possibility to reach the planet. The light comes through the jewels on the hoods of serpents. People with great demonic power resides here, and they live with great material enjoyment without any spiritual enjoyment. They also do not become old or diseased, and fear has no effect on them. Thus they are called Bilasvarg or subterranean heavenly planets. The residents enjoy in this planet more than the higher planets because it is all about wealth, sensual enjoyment, and influence. They are known as the Daityas, Danavs, and Nagas. They don't seek any sort of spiritual liberation. There are no days or nights here, and there is no fear of time. Only the time of dissolution can create havoc on the planet. Let us now look at the hellish planetary systems, that is Naraklok. Even below the Patal Lok, there is the Naraklok, slightly above the Garbhadaksha ocean. The system has different degrees of suffering and is for those who have to suffer. We humans might think of the level of suffering here on earth as cruel, but the suffering there is way more cruel and harsh. It is for those who commit all the wrongdoings during their time as humans on earth. While life goes on for eternity, the duration of karmic sentence might be only a few seconds. According to Vedas, there are about 28 different hellish planets in total. Let us look at what is mentioned about the end of universe in Bhagavatam. All of the planetary systems are bound to be annihilated, and this annihilation can take place in two ways. One way is through partial annihilation, which occurs every 4.2 billion years, or the end of each day of Satyalok. The spiritual world cannot be annihilated, but instead absorbs all the material creation. Before the days of annihilation, it is said that there will be no rain for hundreds of years. Everything dries up, and the sun is 12 times as powerful as it is now. After that, there are only horrendous rains that everything is absorbed by water. Everything mortal, the living entities, the vegetation merges into the earth merges into fragrance, fragrance into the water, water into the quality of taste into the fire, fire into form, form into touch, touch into ether, and ether finally merges into sound. All of them merge to their origins, the presiding devas and demigods, which merge into the controlling mind. The controlling mind merges into the ego in the mood of goodness. The ego merges with sound in the mode of ignorance, which then merges into the total nature. The material nature merges into the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then they merge into the unmanifest form of nature, which then merges with time, the time with the Supreme Godhead Mahavishnu. All the origin of life merges into God, the Supreme Soul. This entire process is just the reverse of the creation, and thus it is why it is called everything ultimately rests within the Supreme Absolute. This same Vedic view is elaborated in the Puranas, who assert that the universe is created, destroyed, and recreated in an eternally repetitive series of cycles. In Hindu cosmology, a universe endures for about 40, 432 crores years, one day of Brahma, the creator or Kalpa, and is then destroyed by fire or water elements. At this point, Brahma rests for one night, just as long as his day, and some of his lower and middle planetary systems are destroyed. This process is named Pralay, dissolution of cosmic creation in Sanskrit, commonly translated as cataclysm. At the start of Brahma's new day, once again creation takes place, and such cycle of day and night repeats for 100 years of Lord Brahma, which equals to 311 trillion 40 billion human years, which represents Brahma's lifespan. As per Shaiva theory, everything emanates from Brahma or impersonal Sadashivlok, and everything merges in Brahma. Lord Brahma is also regarded as a manifestation of Brahman. Therefore, at the end of Lord Brahma's life, known as Vikalpa, Lord Brahma merges himself and his entire cosmic manifestation in Brahman, which is the sum total of creation. Since the start of Brahma's present day, some 1,097 crores 57 lakh 5,120 years have already passed. At present, we are staying in Lord Brahma's Shwetvara Kalpa, 7th Vivasvan Manavtars, 28th Mahayugas, 5,120 Kalyug year, also known as 5,120 Yugabda year, which started after the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears only once in a day of Brahma and who protects his devotees by destroying irreligion and establishing dharma. Lord Krishna appeared during the end of Dwapar Yuga and performed his earthly pastimes from 3228 BC to 3102 BC at Mathura, Vrindavan, and Dwarka for 125 years. The same universal structure resides inside a human body. We know it by many names like awakening of Kundalini at the base, rising up through the various chakras up to the divine chakra. It is said that you are not an accident. You are a child of the universe. You have all the wisdom, all the promise from the spirit level that you use at the body level in this lifetime. Look at this as purpose. Once you understand that you have a purpose at the spiritual level and you use the human body in this earth, then you might understand that the body, mind, spirit is a full package. It's everything. You cannot separate them. You cannot just use words. Then when you look at disease and you look at symptoms and you look at the mind, they are not just disease, symptoms and the mind, they are spiritual purpose. When you have this angle, you will understand that body, mind, spirit is oneness. With this, I end this third installment of the Bhagwad Gita and shall record the fourth one very soon. Thank you.